guys, thank you so much for watching Minutes of Positivity. I am Anupriya, the host of the show. Welcome to my show, Upbeat the Conversation with Anupriya. Today I have a life and relationship coach with me, Ekta Dixit, who strongly believes in the power of self growth through right transformational strategies. Today's topic is very sensitive breakups, a lifelong lesson. ब्रेकअप आखिरकार हमें कितना कुछ सिखा के जाते हैं और ब्रेकअप के बाद में हील करना क्यों इतना इम्पोर्टेंट होता है to listen and to have all of your answers, listen to this episode till the end. Hello, Ekta. How are you?
I am great. How are you, Anupriya?
I'm doing super well. Thank you so much. And I'm so grateful that you accepted my offer. And today we are here to record a podcast together.
Well, to be very honest, on a very genuine note, I'm really thankful that you came across for having me. So I think it's my honor too.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. I know your background, but my listeners would love to know about how did you started things because I have never came across to the life and relationship coach in my life, like till now. It's just 22 years, but I have never came across. So I want you to begin from the very starting that you always wanted to do this only, or you had something in mind, and then you just, it just shows your diversification and you just started it up. So,
Well, honestly speaking, I had a lot of things in my mind when I was growing up as a teen. I had different perspective when it comes to career. Since I wanted to get into, when you're growing, you have a lot of things. Media is influencing you, your peers are influencing you. There are a lot of factors that are
hmm,
influencing you at that moment.
hmm,
And this is what happened with me as well when I wanted to be an air hostess. I wanted to be an RJ. I wanted to do a lot of things, but then I realized in my growing years, um, I would, the aha moment for me was more like when I used to give suggestions to people. In a normal conversation, when you speak to your friends or maybe
hmm,
your family or someone, and you give out certain advice and
hmm,
suggestions, and once they start applying, they realize that, oh, they would just come up to me and say, "Oh, really, dude, that helped me." Okay, that was more like a game changer. So I realized, and these are not few incidences, but a lot, many on the way. And I realized that this was uh, an eye-opening moment where I realized that maybe I'm
hmm,
getting better in terms of coaching, in terms of suggesting, and not just to do with that, because to be honest, life coaching or relationship coaching is not just about where you show people, oh, this is what you're supposed to do, but more than that, it's to do with guiding and
hmm,
helping them transform, because I believe one thing, that every single person
hmm,
has the potential to know the answer, because
hmm.
no lock comes without the key. So if you have a lock right now, you know what the key is and you know how to deal with that, but it's just that, when you're going through something,
Hmm.
a stress or whatever, your capacity reduces so much that you just can't foresee what's happening or what are the chances of finding a solution. So what happens is, in that case, for me as a coach, I realized I loved psychology. I loved working with human behavior. That why people do what they do.
Yeah.
That's the point. And that really tricked me into it. And I think then, of course, I pursued my academics in psychology. I also, took a sabbatic, and I learned hypnotherapy. So I'm a hypnotherapist as well. But of course, I don't practice that, but it's more to do with the coaching. It's more to do with relationship and life and personal growth and transformation. So I think when you start seeing changes, right, when you start seeing that someone has transformed their life
Yeah.
because of you, I
Hmm.
think that hits you
Hmm.
really high.
Hmm.
And I think it worked out for me when I realized that, especially since almost a year when I've been creating content on my social media, Instagram channel, I realized when I'm getting tons of DM every single day, like more than hundreds of DMs every single day saying that, you know what? I was about to give up my life, and I just saw your video and maybe that transformed me. So I had a couple of these moments which touched me. And I
Hmm.
realized if I could save someone,
Hmm.
whether I could save someone's life,
Life,
someone's relationship,
relationship.
and they were able to transform themselves. So I think that's the kick
That's the
which
kick.
has
Yeah.
been, which I've been getting past more than a decade now. So of course that's just allowing me to get better and better and better. So it's all a journey that I'm still passing through.
Firstly, your content is really, really meaningful, helpful, and it's relatable. That I can also relate to some other way. And secondly, to be very honest, like my favorite topic is relationships. Because I've been seeing myself growing up and surrounding of mine. So I was very curious to know about certain things, but there was no one to guide me up. And somehow my friends guided me, I guided myself, and then you you are here. I came across to your Instagram, and I always saw as see your post related to relationships, coach to resumes to everything, and it's a
Thank you so
versatile.
much. That means a lot to me. That means a lot to me, of course. Thank you so much for that. I'm just trying my best, to be honest, to provide as much as value as I can.
Hmm.
Also, every single day, I feel that if I can help transform one person, or I can affect one person's life um, on a daily basis, I think I'm sleeping with peace that night.
And what else do you need then? Like, if you are helping
Absolutely.
somebody or anyone around you, it's just a peaceful thing. So let's begin with the questions. My first question to you: how does breakup affect psychologically?
Well, it just doesn't affect psychologically, to be honest, but it also affects you physiologically. Now, there are
Hmm.
a lot of things, when you
Hmm.
talk about breakup in general.
Hmm.
Um, when you are in a relationship, you're sharing your life, you're surrounding everything with that specific person, right?
Hmm.
When you talk about not having someone, suddenly having a breakup, it's the void that the person goes through, that you don't know what to do with that empty space.
Hmm.
And of course there are a lot of factors when it comes to psychologically being affected.
Hmm.
That's to do with whether you say lack of focus, or you say there are a lot of crying spells, or maybe a lot of them turn to substance.
Hmm.
That's another thing. And apart from that, there's you are not really motivated to go ahead. You're facing crying spells, you're going through some sort of an emotional turmoil, you have mood swings, and you don't know how to handle that. And when you talk about physiologically, it affects a lot more. People do have, you talk about um, affecting in such a way where there was this research I would really love to talk about, that cognitive scientists
Hmm.
had researched something in Columbia University, that there's a part of your brain,
Hmm.
okay, and that specific part of your brain lights up when you go, when you see your ex's pictures, or maybe you just go through a memory, okay. And it's that specific part which makes you feel like you're addicted. It's more like, it's more like drugs. So
Hmm.
what happens is, it just doesn't affect you psychologically but also physiologically, where it just starts affecting your mood. You start developing a lot of psychosomatic illnesses, where you realize there are a lot of headaches, there are mood swings, there are crying spells. Of course that's there in terms of psychological, but people do go through a lot of aches and pains which are psychosomatic in nature, which you cannot explain. Which, if you've heard about, a lot of people, they go through the tests, they get their tests done for aches and pains, but there is no specific physiological reasoning to it or
Hmm.
cause to it. And
Hmm.
they realize, reports to badhiya hai, but I don't know why I'm still facing that.
Hmm.
So that's called psychosomatic, which
Okay.
means with your thoughts, with your moods, with your emotions, you are affecting your mind and body as well. So, of course, breakups do, it feels more like physical pain. And when I spoke about the specific brain parts, why it's important to know, it's because that specific brain part regulates your your physical aches and pains.
Mm.
So you see there's an association with that.
Yeah, yeah, true. What is that one thing which teenagers and adults face during breakups? Like,
Sorry.
what is that one thing which teenagers and adults face during breakups?
Well, I think more to do with anything, it's the emptiness. Don't don't know how what to do in terms of that specific time period. Also, I think it's more to do with certain hormone, that you go through. Because
Yeah,
when you are
in
in a
yeah.
relationship, it's a feel good factor because your serotonin levels are high. These are one of the neurotransmitters. Okay, what happens is when you are out of a relationship, you tend to, sort of go through a phase where your serotonin levels are low, your
Hmm.
dopamine levels are low. Dopamine is,
I,
a hormone which regulates your feel good factor.
yeah, feel good
Your,
factor.
it's a hormone which is released when you're addicted to something.
Hmm.
So when you're in a relationship, you're addicted to something, you feel it's a sense of euphoria. So when
Hmm.
you don't have someone around you, it's that loneliness, sense of not having to share your life with. So you don't know. So I think adults, teenagers, they go through a lot of void. And
Hmm.
one of the biggest issue that they face in terms of breakup is the catharsis.
What
You
does that
don't
mean?
know. So catharsis means how to cut off. That's the point. You don't know how to cut off something. Now you see a lot of teenagers, even in terms of adults, they they'll stalk on social media, they'll drunk text their exes, right? Because they don't know how to cut off
Yeah,
that
yeah,
moment, that
yeah,
relationship. If something did not work well, you try to negotiate with that person because
yeah.
we all use a lot of defense mechanisms in our day-to-day life. And even when your relationship does not work, when you're going through a breakup, I think the first thing that you do is uh, defend it. You make sure that you're not accepting that this has happened at first place. So what happens? The first thing that you do is denial. No,
Yeah.
this did not happen. I'm trying my best to negotiate it. That's the second step.
Yes, yes.
So we all go through that. We try to get back our exes. We try to figure out, oh, you know what? I can't deal with this. Let's
Hmm.
figure it out.
Hmm.
Somewhere deep down, this might not work.
But
Even getting
yeah,
back to the same thing back again, it's not going to work out for you.
yeah,
So it's very important to have that catharsis. Catharsis is when you cut off with something and move on. That's how you heal, to be
hmm.
honest. So catharsis is something that people find it difficult to, move on to, their life
Hmm.
and do things. That's the reason, when I spoke about serotonin,
Hmm.
why it's so important. A lot of, people say that coaches always advise us to do things that make us happy. Creativity में करो कुछ या
Hmm.
कुछ देख लो या कुछ करो that makes you happy. It's
Hmm.
because when you do something that makes you happy, it's going to increase the level of serotonin in your body
Yes, yes,
so that you
absolutely
start
agree.
feeling better, so that you
Better,
start healing better.
better, yeah.
So that's really important. Many a times we overlap the factors, and that's how it goes on.
And I think you said the best thing. That is why most of the psychologists suggest talk to a friend, talk to your loved ones, talk to your
Yes.
relatives, that you can heal better and you can share as much as you can. So my
Yeah.
next question to you is, do you think to move on, we should get into another relationship to, just forget that person and let's just be with someone else?
It's an absolute no. It's an absolute no because there's something called rebound relationships.
Yeah.
Because when you get into, when you get out of a relationship, a lot of people get into rebound. It's not a full-fledged relationship where
Hmm.
you are there together for a long period, but it's more like you're trying to fill the void.
Yeah.
Talking about the same thing, you don't know what to do with the void, and you
Hmm.
have this urge
Hmm.
to get back to that relationship again, get back to that same euphoric feeling again of wanting to share your day with someone. What are you doing? What are you eating? What your whole day schedule is like. You want to share everything and
Hmm.
start feeling better. So one of the things that usually people do who are going through breakup is they get into rebound. but that doesn't really help, because for the only reason is you do not allow yourself to heal. That's the
Hmm.
biggest mistake that you're doing. Suppose if you're going, you went through a bad relationship
Hmm.
that had trust issues, maybe you
Yeah.
felt insecure, or maybe
Hmm.
there was some sort of an infidelity, or maybe there was anything, maybe there was an abuse in a relationship. Let's say that you
Hmm.
haven't let yourself heal through it. What
Yeah.
are you going to do? If you're getting into another relationship, you're going to carry forward the same thing
Baggage. Yeah.
without without letting that heal, without
Yeah.
asking yourself, okay, why did I feel that? Why did I go through this issue?
Hmm.
Why did I have the trust issue at first place?
Hmm.
So instead of figuring that out, instead of ruling things out in terms of what you went through in a relationship,
Hmm.
you're just going to keep, carrying forward the same thing in every relationship. Then,
Hmm.
you might have heard a lot of people say that, uh, I am getting into the same repetitive relationships. I am facing same issues in the relationship,
I
all
think that's me.
relationships.
That's me.
what
I think that's strongly me.
what if so, then this tip is definitely for you, where it's important for you to let yourself heal by figuring out, okay, if I was facing this issue, maybe it was to do with cheating, or maybe it was to do with the trust issues or insecurity or whatever that is. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this in every relationship? Okay, let me just figure that out. Was it to do with somebody else? Was it to do with my own insecurity mirroring on someone else?
Hmm.
So it's important to let yourself heal
Hmm.
before you move forward. Allow yourself time. There's no bigger thing as the time. It's just a matter of that specific period that you let yourself, handle. That's why when you're out of a relationship, when you're facing breakup, few things you're not supposed to do is, yes, do not stalk on social media. Do not try to negotiate with the person that please let's get back, because you cannot let something heal you what broke you.
Yeah,
That's one of the quote,
yeah.
right? You can't expect what broke you to heal you, something like that. So
So
it's quite, yeah.
so it's just like you broke a glass and you are trying to fix it, but it's somehow it can't.
Of course. No, but see, there have been incidences where quite of broken relationships have gotten back
Hmm.
with more zest, with more vibe, with more better compatibility,
Hmm.
right? But not all relationships are like that. A lot of them, now why a lot of people can move ahead is because they do not hold back to the past mistakes, or maybe they sit and resolve the issue instead of just taking it all lifelong, okay, ahead with them. So what happens for people who, even after having a broken relationship, they still get back together and they work it out, because they definitely work on the solution and they try to make sure that
Yeah.
whatever itched them in the relationship, that they
Hmm.
worked it out
There you go.
and they healed it.
Hmm.
So it's not to do with healing people per se, but healing the attributes that you had in the
Yeah.
relationship.
Okay.
So important to,
No.
yeah,
Yeah.
kids, right?
Um,
Yeah, that's fine.
no,
That's called work from home.
true. I want to know that do you think after breakup closure is important? Like if you are a very good
Closure
friend
is,
with someone and you get into a
Mhm.
relationship thinking about that friendship, that you fall in love with that person and everything went well, but after coming into a relationship I've heard a lot of things that friendship changes. But I think friendship doesn't change, it just goes to a upper level where your understandings become more deeper and more connective. But somehow you broke up because of something and then you lost that friend also because you were into a relationship with that friend and you both had no closure also. So do you think closure plays a major important role in that?
of course, see, closure is very important,
Hmm.
because, like I said, it allows you to move ahead with the healing process.
Hmm.
Now, if you haven't really, closed your all your baggage with the previous person,
Hmm.
of course, one thing you're going to carry it forward, and the next most important thing is you're not, you're always going to have it in your head or in your mind that what if we get back together? What if we get back together? What if things work out? What if I can try it again? What if let me ask him again? So
Yeah.
what happens? There is always going to be this what if
Hmm.
at the back of your mind. So
Hmm.
closure is very important. Like you mentioned that, when once you were friend, of course you had a good compatibility together. But
Hmm.
apart from that, once you realize that, you have a good compatibility between you two, you move to another level, which was relationship. You got more intimate in nature,
Hmm.
not just physically, but emotional intimacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what happens. Now you've lost that,
Hmm.
but that doesn't mean uh that you have to be friends with that person, because eventually you want to talk about the same thing. You're
Yeah.
going to discuss about how great your relationship was, or maybe how you could have worked it out, or maybe what you start calling names to each other. So that's
Hmm.
what happens. So it's
Hmm.
closure is definitely important to close the chapter so that
And
you
move
allow
on.
yourself to
Yeah.
heal and move. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and after breakup, mostly people think they are not gonna love someone else the way they used to do it to that person. And in next person, they start searching the characters of their ex into the new person, and because of it, they face a lot of problems. Because they are just searching कि यार ये मेरे ex जैसा होगा, इसमें ये वाली चीज़ होनी चाहिए, इसमें इतनी केयर ऐसी नहीं होनी चाहिए, इसको ऐसे नहीं ऐसे react करना चाहिए इस चीज़ में. And people often say you can't, love the person the way you used to do to somebody else, and love is meant to be only in only one time in your life. So what would you comment on this thing, like?
Well, when you say that, it's just not with the exes, but even in our
Hmm.
relationships, even in the present relationships, we try to find 10 attributes in one, but that's not possible.
Hmm.
Every single person is different. Now what happens, I think in one of my previous Instagram video I did share about this, because what happens when you are getting into a relationship, you try to find the same things because you want to be comfortable with what you had earlier.
Hmm.
Right now, that's the point. So you wanted to be you don't want to leave the comfort zone. You don't want to try something new. No one likes it. Even when you go to a restaurant, you try to make sure that you playing safe,
Hmm.
that you place the same thing so that you don't mess up with your order.
Hmm.
Right? Now that's what happens even with the relationship. You tend to find same things, but one of the things that you really need to figure out is it's not going to help you, because why you know why you both broke up, because few things in your previous relationships didn't work out. Okay, now a person is an amalgamation of a lot of different attributes, right? Your ex might be good at A, B, C, and D was the bad thing. So what
Hmm.
happens? You try to find A, B, C in
The
the
person.
next person you meet,
Hmm.
but the reason why that ABC is not supposed to be figured out, because maybe that person's XYZ is much better than the ABC. So
Yeah.
you're losing out on the chances of having a much better relationship ahead.
I think
That's the
I got a
thing.
clarity, of much more clarity about this thing, because not in relationship, but yeah, in I think friendships or something like that. I keep on searching that my perspective, that my comfort zone. Ki I want to be comfort, and if I'm not finding it, then I just take a step back, and that just clicked me after a month. Ki, oh, I was stupid that time. I was silly. I acted like that.
Yeah, but no, you don't have to put yourself down saying that, but it's all about what you need to do in that case. Like what everyone needs to do who's getting into a new relationship is just tell yourself, okay, what are the great attributes of this new person? Let me figure out. Let me find out what is he good at? What are his goals? What are his visions? And
That's
how can
important.
we align together? It's all about the alignment in the
Yeah,
end,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So if you are compatible, if you're in alignment with that person, I think you don't need to find. So relationships are great when you figure out that you have these gaps between your fingers and you're just fitting in together That's when your relationship is working well. That's what compatibility is,
Yes.
where you figure out, okay, this person has flaws, but I have the capability to deal with that. So you fix that gap between your fingers. That's
Yes.
what relationship has to be, even after a breakup.
True, true. Okay, let's come to the rapid fire round. It has to be very spontaneous, quick.
That's great. Okay. Okay, let me try. Let me give a try.
Yeah. So you have to answer in one word or in one sentence. That's it.
Mhm.
Tell me your guilty pleasure.
I think that, sorry, but that has to be relationship
No,
or
no, no. It's
anything
overall. It's overall.
overall.
Yeah.
Okay, guilty pleasure is definitely has to be tons and tons and tons of dollop of butter on my bread. So that's something that I love, and I try to make sure that I don't have it every single day. So I make sure that I'm having it only when I go out on a vacation. So that's my
Okay.
guilty pleasure. Tons of like dollop of butter on my bread.
Okay. What's your dream job?
I think I'm living one.
That's impressive. Okay. Are you an old school person or this new generation person?
Absolutely old conservative one.
I thought that would be. Um, your perspective on blind date.
Blind dates are good, but you need to be wary of few aspects.
Hmm.
Whether what the person is, whether the person has same goals as yours. So blind dates are, I think, a 50-50.
Okay. Do you think dating apps are useful?
They are also because it allows you to know a person. Even if you're not dating a person, you can always be friends with that
Friends with
person
that
and
person.
know, it allows you to network. So, yes.
Hmm. Candlelight dinner or roadside street food?
I love both depending upon the mood. So I think it depends upon the mood. So if you are in a very casual mood, why not street food?
Uh,
And otherwise,
the
but
perfect date.
in terms of relationship, I think candlelight with your person. I think candlelight enough.
Oh, okay. Do you believe in love at first sight?
No, not really, because love at first sight is usually infatuation, and only when you get into you can say like at first sight, yes, not love at first sight, because compatibility over chemistry any single time.
Okay, so what does love mean into your language? Like, I'm curious to know.
Okay, so a love basically has to be where you have most of the attributes, working in proportion to the person, right? Infatuation is more to do with, it's about a period of time where it wears out after a period of time. When you say love, you meet someone, you know a person, you know what their goals are, you try to understand the differences, you accept it, and you work for the betterment of a relationship. You put someone else's needs and wants above yours. That's love. But when you talk about infatuation, it's more to do with, with you want to put your needs first, you want to put yourself first, you want to fulfill your gratification first. So that's what infatuation is. So love has to do more with understanding, respecting, trusting, knowing boundaries, and most important, consistency is the point, that you be consistent and you pursue, you have this call of persuasion, eh, just like you had before you got together.
That's beautiful definition. Which character you like the most, Kabir Singh or Sattu Rajkumar Rao from Shadi Mein Zarur Aana? Have you seen the
I think
movie?
both, yes, but I think Sattu is anytime I would go in. Well, I wouldn't really go with both, to be honest, but Sattu is still better than Kabir Singh.
Yeah, yeah, that's the best thing.
And
Um,
abuse is a no-no.
yeah, abuse is a no-no, not for the friendship, not for any kind of relationships.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you so, so much for being here, being a part of it. And this topic was so needful to talk about breakup because I've been hearing a lot of things around me. Yeah, and this was the need of the hour because in this age where I am, because you're elder than me, so you have much more experience and your expertise are these only. So
Thank you.
it
Thank
was
you.
great that you answered all of my questions, and I am fully satisfied. And I have learned a lot of things, valuable things from you. Hope my audience are also learning this thing and they'll gain a lot of
Definitely.
knowledge out of this podcast. Thank you so much,
So thank you
Ekta.
so much for having me. To be honest, I really love the conversation with you. So of course, ending it with lots of love,
Yeah.
staying safe, and making sure that you be conscious and you stay in cognizance in every relationship. Do things that are helping and allowing your relationship to grow than deteriorate.
Okay, so
So thank you once again. Yeah.
one last advice to my audience, which you would like to say to the adults and to the teenagers both.
I think I would just advise one thing, to be honest, in terms of relationship, right? So I would just, of course, you did you just mention activity
No, no, no. I just mentioned ki advice. What are
advice?
your
Okay.
advices?
So I think the only advice I would really like to give everyone is, of course, do things. Be conscious or not really hurting your partner. Do things that allows you both to be on the same page. Even if you're not on the same page, be courageous enough to accept the differences, but make sure that you be consistent in putting your efforts and getting better.
Yeah, absolutely. It's wonderful. Thank you again. I'll put all of your
Thanks.
social media handles, and be consistent as you are. You're rocking the world and you're making a
Thank you,
valuable
darling. Thank you.
content. I've learned
Thank you. I
a
wish
lot of
you all
things.
the best also for your podcast and for your future.
Thank you so much.